Good morning.
Good morning.
I'll try that one more time. Good morning.
Good morning.
Very good. I will call to order the meeting of the Board of Trustees, asking our Secretary of the Board to read the roll.
All right, Mayor Biassiata. Here. Mr. Joyce. Mayor Kumar.
Here.
President Lucas.
Present.
Ms. Mersman.
Here.
Ms. Moss. Here. Mr. Sleesman. Here. Mayor Weiss.
Here.
And Ms. Welch.
Here.
We have 8 board members present.
We have the certification.
Mr. President, I first advise that notice of this meeting has been posted more than 24 hours in advance of the meeting, that the usual notification has been given the news media and other interested persons, and that all requirements of the Ohio Revised Code and rules and bylaws of this board regarding notice of meeting have been complied with.
Thank you very much. We need to approve the June 27th board meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
Motion Welch.
Thank you. Second?
Second Mersman.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you very much. We'll now have public comments, 2 minutes on agenda items. Anyone first from the audience that are here with any public comment? Anybody? Going once, 2, 3? No one. All right. Who's on the phone?
Have any
We currently have no one on the phone.
No one on the phone. Anybody on the web forum?
Currently, I don't have any web forum comments.
No web forum. All right. Any of the committee people have a report? Any of the committee people have a report? All right, we're rolling along here. We have the introduction of employees and promotion. Well, you're here. Good to see you.
All right. Good morning, Mr. President, Ms. Birdsong-Terry, members of the board. It's my pleasure to introduce to you our new hires and promotions for July. We will start with our new hires. We have Transit Ambassador Eric Marks, Ashley Burks, Occupational Health Specialist, James DeCaro, Electronic Equipment Maintainer, Jamar Roberts, Hostler, Deborah Cha, Legal Intern, Roosevelt Wallace, Summer Intern, Jordan Randall, Public Transit Development Intern. Now we have operators, Lee Harper, Sean Midget, Irwin Hill, Darlene Price, Ebony O'Neill, Shauna Howell, Eva Hazima, Nikki Washington, Brina Hill, Leon Sibley, Matthew Booth, James Hall, Harris Stiggers, Katrina West, Steve Wozniak, Nicholas James, Reynard Reeves, Karen Eagle, Sharice Clement, Jocelyn McLemore, Littell Robertson, Teresa Harper, Terrence Chambly, Latanya Sibbert, Lamar Woodruff, Jasmine Grooms, Marion Pate, Jared Parham, Edward Muhammad, Sharon Hughes, Marshallette Clark, Transit Ambassador Tania Bolton, Financial Accountant Tyrone Lampkin, Miles Krall, Financial Analyst, P-Card Administrator, Kaylee Hall, Transit Police Officer, Louis Broch, Transit Police Officer, Raul Rodriguez, Transit Police Officer, Adrian Calhoun, Transit Police Officer, Tamika Stewart, Transit Police Officer, and Jermaine Smith, Transit Police Officer. This concludes our new hires for July. Please congratulate them and welcome them. All right, now for our promotions for July. Anthony Pollock, bus mechanic apprentice, Tiffany Thomas, dispatcher, Tiffany Burton, service management group leader, Courtney Cook, labor leader, Joshua Geyer, assistant equipment manager rail, Daniel Griffin, assistant equipment manager rail, Willie Harrison Jr., revenue data operator, and Marcus Lewis, service quality supervisor rail. Mr. President, that concludes our promotions. We welcome and congratulate them as well.
Thank you very much, sir. All right, there is a request for an executive session to consider the appointment, discipline, promotion, demotion, compensation of public employee. We have a motion.
So moved, Mayor Weiss.
Second?
Mayor Biassiata.
All right. Call the roll.
Mayor Biassiata,
Yes.
Mr. Joyce, Mayor Kumar,
Yes.
President Lucas,
Yes.
Ms. Mersman,
Yes.
Ms. Moss, Mr. Sleesman,
Yes.
Mayor Weiss,
Yes.
and Ms. Welch.
Yes.
We have 8 ayes and none opposed.
All right. What we're going to do today, we're going to have our executive session with the board in the conference room so we don't have to disturb all these people. We shouldn't be too long, and we'll see you shortly.
might be.
I don't know if I ever shared with you the story of. I think I did. I live in Rexford, and there's I'm not familiar. No, bus stop there where I always see people in the winter and cold. That's good. There's a McDonald's, a whole bunch of retail. There's vehicles coming in. It looks miserable. Good to see you, Brian. It's like, man, we should put up some sort of a thing over there. And I called RTA's, the random 800 number. They were so good. They're like, oh, let's take a look. They got
You all right?
Yeah. Family friend passed away this
Oh,
morning. It was unusual to have all my siblings calling me at once.
at one time, yeah.
It's not okay. She passed in her sleep and she wasn't well.
Okay.
I don't really care what color.
the intersections you have. To me, like, sort of makes or breaks your
No. We're all here. We have a motion to come out of executive session.
Motion Welch.
Moss, second.
All right, call the roll.
Mayor Biassiata,
Yes. Yes.
Mayor Kumar,
Here. Yes.
President Lucas,
Yes?
Ms. Mersman,
Yes.
Ms. Moss,
Yes.
Mr. Sleesman,
Yes.
Mayor Weiss,
Yes.
and Ms. Welch.
Yes.
We have 8 ayes and none opposed.
Thank you very much. Introduction of resolutions. Before we can address this one, we need to bring it off the table. You remember we put it on the table to deal with it today. We have a motion to bring it off the table.
Motion to take it off the table.
Second.
Second. Mayor Weiss?
Do we need a roll call for that?
If you'd like,
All right,
I
thank
can
you.
do that. Okay. Mayor Biassiata,
Yes.
Mayor Kumar,
Yes.
President Lucas,
Yes?
Ms. Mersman,
Yes.
Ms. Moss, Mr. Sleesman,
Yes.
Mayor Weiss,
Yes.
and Ms. Welch.
Yes.
You have 8 to remove this resolution 2023-47 from the table.
Thank you very much. 2023-47.
Okay. Amending and restating employment agreement of India L. Birdsong Terry as General Manager, Chief Executive Officer of the Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority, and authorizing the execution of that agreement.
Thank you very much. Our attorney for this matter is here. Ralph, you want to give a summary of what we're talking about? Is Ms. Terry here? Yes, she's here.
Present.
Present, all right.
Thank you, Reverend Lucas. Working with the board's compensation committee, we undertook an analysis of and collected data on about 75 different transit systems across the country. The data that was available to us was for the years 21 and 22, so the data was a little bit out of currency, but nevertheless provided a basis for us to begin the work that the committee undertook. The first thing that the committee quickly understood was that the position of a general manager of a transit authority is now a national position. There is a nationwide pool of individuals, and there is great mobility in that position nationwide. So as we look at the compensation for the position, we're really looking at a national level as opposed to just a regional level. As the board began its evaluation of the data, we first looked to the Ohio transit authorities that were somewhat comparable. Those two being the Cincinnati or the Southwest Ohio RTA, and the Columbus Central Ohio Authority. Now, each of those, relative to the Regional Transit Authority for this area, are roughly half in terms of the metrics that we used. Those metrics are number of employees, number of vehicles, and the budget that the authority. Those are really just indicators of scale, magnitude, and complexity, but they are one group of data that allows an informed decision and somewhat of a method of comparison. So with regard to the two Ohio entities, the Cincinnati or Southwest Ohio, again, based on 21-22 data, the salary for the general manager was $297,000. And with regard to the Columbus Regional Authority, with 1,000 less employees, 2/3 of the vehicles, and less than half of the budget, the salary for that position was $350,000. So you can see just within Ohio the range of salary for the position of general manager. By point of comparison, GCRTA has roughly 2,100 employees, 600 vehicles, and a budget of $482 million. The general manager's current salary is $278,000. The committee then looked at other transit authorities in the nation, again, trying to find comparables in terms of the metrics of employees, vehicles, and budget. While you can look at 75 different municipalities or authorities and make comparisons, I looked at it, and we basically, in our analysis, looked to San Diego with 2,600 employees, 932 vehicles, and $485 million budget. And the San Diego position is the general manager was $330,000. St. Louis, which had 2,400 employees, 642 vehicles, and a $360 million budget, the general manager compensation was $300,000. And then San Antonio, with 2,000 employees, 664 vehicles, and a $131 million budget, the general manager's compensation was $350,000. That is just a point of comparison to address the question of, is the current position going to be compensated relative to market, which is the national level? I think the Compensation Committee looked at the two Ohio data points, looked at comparison from other municipality, other authorities across the country, and determined that the current proposal was consistent with about a midpoint within those ranges. For the benefit of the board and the individuals in attendance, I'll briefly summarize the key points. The contract is amended and restating for a 5-year period from January 1, 23 through December of 27. The proposed salary is $335,000 with a qualification for whatever the cost of living increase is that this board approves for the authority as a whole. There is a provision in the contract that allows the board to award a discretionary bonus of up to 15% of the prior year's or the current year's compensation based on performance, and that is paid initially in 2024 as far as a qualification. This board will have the complete discretion on awarding that discretionary bonus, and that will be a communication process with the general manager as to the objectives and fulfillment of those objectives. There's additional health benefits for a yearly evaluation through the Cleveland Clinic, and the normal benefits for deferred compensation, and some additional enhancement for community involvement, participation in boards on behalf of the authority. The other components are the traditional insurance coverages and contracts that the board provides for all of its employees. Those are the highlights of the contract, and I believe it gives you some sense of how the salary was determined relative to the database that we were able to develop. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Any questions from the board?
Mr. Chair, if I may?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to provide a little bit further background for the public. The reference to the Compensation Committee, this was a committee that was formed a number of years ago by the agency to address compensation issues, particularly for the general manager. The setting of compensation for the general manager is one of the one of the most important things that this board does, and so we take that obligation very seriously. We've been working with Mr. Cascarella, who's by the way with Walter Haverfield as outside counsel for a number of months, working through a number of these issues. So this has been in the works for quite some time. And one of the things that's important for the board, obviously, and for the benefit of the public, is that we're proactive on this. It's very important that we have stability and continuity, particularly with someone of Ms. Birdsong-Terry's caliber, to have her continue on and lead the organization for the coming 5 years is very important. And so I just want to mention the others on the compensation committee are Ms. Moss, Mayor Kumar, and Ms. Mersman, just for background information, and we're happy to answer any other questions that the board might have. Thank you.
All right, any other comments or statements from the board? All right. Again, thank you, Ralph, for excellent legal advice, and you've taken us through this. And to the board, we've had several meetings on this issue. I thank you very much. All right, we have a motion for this. I'll ask the chairman to make that motion.
So moved, Mayor Weiss.
Is there a second?
Second, Welch.
Any discussion? All right, we're going to have call the roll on this one.
Okay. Mayor Biassiata.
Yes.
Mayor Kumar.
Yes.
President Lucas.
Yes.
Ms. Mersman.
Yes.
Ms. Moss. Mr. Sleesman.
Yes.
Mayor Weiss.
Yes.
And Ms. Welch.
Yes.
We have 8 ayes and none opposed. It passes.
Thank you very much, and congratulations to our have a word. Have a word.
If I may, through the chair and of course through the compensation committee, just wanted to take a moment to say an extreme thank you for taking a look at this, being very diligent, and giving the respect of the work that this group, and it's not just me, it's the entire team, does on a daily basis on behalf of Greater Cleveland. It's been an absolute thrill to be able to lead the team. We're getting the funding that we deserve, we're getting the recognition we deserve, and we're getting the investment through the community. Changing the mission statement was not by happenstance, and we really are getting out there in a way that makes me proud to lead the authority and makes me proud to lead the company through transformation. I was just having a conversation with a couple folks about how to maintain that transformational get up and go, whether it's through technology, whether it's through vehicles, and just the overall experience and mobility in the city and the surrounding suburbs. It's fantastic to have that kind of confidence coming from my board, our board, in the work that I do, particularly to support the area. I moved my family here. I made good on that promise to expand that family. I think I've doing that, and to be able to really add into the community. So again, I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. I'm very proud to say that I'm a Clevelander now, and I will do the very best I can to be able to keep us moving forward over the next 5 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, 2023-48.
Expressing congratulations to the employees of the Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority who retired during the second quarter of 2023.
All right.
President Reverend Lucas, Ms. Birdsong-Terry, members of the board, good morning again. George Fields, Deputy General Manager for Human Resources, here to recognize our second quarter retirees for 2023. We will start with the folks that are on the listing here, but we also have 3 of them that are in person. Last time we had our recognition, Board President Lucas, you asked that we have retirees come back, and so we solicited all of the retirees in the second quarter to be able to come in and be recognized with us in person. 3 of them are here, and we'll bring them up after we go through the slide here. Our first set of retirees, Martin Bonner, bus operator. Charles Crawford, bus operator. Cheryl Lynn Drain, bus operator. James Drain, bus operator. Andrew Galaska, bus operator. Gene Brown, telephone operator information clerk. William Iben, maintenance helper. Vanessa Henderson, hostler. Deshaun Landry, track maintainer. William Martin, equipment maintainer. Roberta Nunley, dispatcher. Kurt Schlesinger, lead signal technician. James Stannard, revenue data operator. Thomas Stolbinski, safety trainer. And Yolanda Dolman Kemp, station attendant. Now for the folks that are here in attendance with us, I'd like to call up Vanessa Henderson, Roberta Nunley, and Kurt Schlesinger, if you want to come up to the front so we can recognize you. So you get this opportunity to be recognized in person, say a few words about your time at RTA, and get this certificate of appreciation. Get this certificate of appreciation so that you know how much we think about you and how much we feel about your service to RTA. So we have Vanessa Henderson here on my left, hostler. We have Roberta Nunley to my left as well, and then we have Kurt Schlesinger right here. You want to take a picture?
Good morning, everyone.
Okay.
I'm going to make this brief. It was such a pleasure being at RTA for 20 years, 10 years at Triscuit and the other 10 at Hayden. I enjoyed everyone, during my time in there. I also want to say thank you to Dr. Caver, who came in later on. And most of you all are new faces to me. George Field, I still remember you. And it's been some hard times there, good times, bad times, but the majority of the whole thing, I enjoyed everything at RTA the 20 years I've been there. So I'm not too cool with the mic, so I'm gonna say thank you, because you've noticed I don't speak on the mic that much. But enjoy the morning. Thank you for everything. It's been a pleasure.
First of all, I'd like to say good morning to everyone. It's good to be here, and it's an honor to be able to come down and to be recognized as an employee of the authority. I started at RTA as a bus driver at Hayden for 1 year. I left the company, came back with the paratransit. I also had was able to take the president back and forth to work and through my 10 years, so I knew him for quite a while. It's good to see him today. God bless you. Also, I just like to say I just enjoyed my time here at the authority. I enjoyed the people. I'm a people person. I came from a background as being an insurance agent, and I just love the people. The people here at RTA are fantastic. And to our CEO, this is my first time to officially be in your face to say congratulations. And I remember when I was a young lady coming up, I had an older sister, and I think it was Martha and the Vandellas had a lady singer there her name was
Cindy Birdsong. Cindy Birdsong.
Cindy Birdsong. I always wanted to get an opportunity to ask you, is she a relative of yours? Can you sing? You look like it.
We'll talk about that.
So it's just nice to be able to be here just to say thank you and God bless you all. And I always continue to pray for you all, because just coming back and forth, going to work every day, is just getting to be kind of rough around Cleveland and the surrounding suburbs. So I'll continue to pray for you all the time. God bless.
Well, it's time to follow up on that, but I just want to say thank you all. I enjoyed my employment here, met a lot of good people. Melinda, I shouldn't even start naming names because there's a bunch of you, but and it was a pleasure working with you. The atmosphere here at some point changed for the better, and it is fantastic now. And I wish all the employees well, the new employees, the existing employees, those about to retire. and know that you have a good group of leaders now, and I think it'll be well for RTA. Thank you all.
You want to get a picture? Yeah, we'll get a picture here. Yeah, we'll get a picture.
Certainly on behalf of the Board of Trustees, may I thank you and the other wonderful employees that I know I've had the opportunity to know you, and I wish you the very best. So on behalf of the Board of Trustees and all of the staff of RTA, God bless and enjoy your retirement, and keep us in your prayers.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, guys.
Congrats. Congrats.
Have a motion to accept this, please.
Motion to accept.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
To the chair, do we get a second?
I thought we
I'll
had.
second. Mayor Biassiata.
All right. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Those no, thank you very much. All right, 2023-49.
Authorizing an increase to contract number 2019-123 with Hatzel and Bueller Incorporated for Project 60B, Warrensville, Van Aken Substation Replacement in the amount of $83,032 for a total contract amount of $3,118,758, and reinstating the General Manager, Chief Executive Officer's change order signing authority in its entity, RTA Development Fund, Engineering and Project Development Department budget.
Chair, if we could have a roll call?
Want a roll call on this?
Yes.
All right, any discussion?
I have a discussion.
Yes.
So what I wanted to make note is that we've had a lot of contracts lately, and this is a rare exception of late that we haven't had change orders and going over, and that's, I'll give that to the shippers department and Melinda's department over there and pricing and making sure that they do this. So we haven't really voted on very many change orders lately. So I just really wanted to extend to the staff a thank you. And the size of the entire budget is not particularly a huge amount of money.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All right, a roll call has been requested.
To the chair, we need a motion and a second first.
Motion to adopt.
Second, Kumar.
All right, call the
Okay.
roll.
Mayor Biassiata.
Yes.
Mayor Kumar.
Yes.
President Lucas.
Yes.
Ms. Mersman.
Yes.
Ms. Moss.
Yes.
Mr. Sleesman.
Yes.
Mayor Weiss.
Abstain?
And Ms. Welch.
Yes.
We have 7 A's and 1 abstention. It passes.
Thank you very much. 2023-50.
To the chair, I believe you are correct. You got me there.
You keeping me on my toes.
Yeah, you see? All right. 50, authorizing an increase to contract number 2022-115 with Northeast Ohio Trenching Service Incorporated for Project 19.05 Airport Tunnel and Pump Station repairs in an amount of $16,500 for a total contract amount of $115,400, and reinstating the General Manager, Chief Executive Officer's change order, signing authority in its entity, RTA Capital Fund, Engineering and Project Development Department budget.
All right, we have a motion.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Second, Sleesman.
All those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, no. Thank you. After we put it on the floor, I'm going to ask that some people here from Shared Mobility, and I'm going to give them the opportunity to have a word. All right? 2351.
Authorizing contract number 2023-017 with AV Auto Media Incorporated, DBA Share Mobility, to provide microtransit program services in an amount not to exceed $300,000, RTA Development Fund, Programming and Planning Department budget.
May I have a motion?
Motion Welch.
Second?
Second, Mayor Weiss.
All right, now we'll ask representatives from the company, just the two of you? I think there was more than that. Yeah, there are three. All right. Thank you very much. Why don't you have a word?
Thank you, Chair and board members. Thank you for the opportunity to come and speak with you. Share Mobility has been operating the RTA Connect Works in Solon since January, and we're really honored to have this opportunity to take the lessons learned in Solon and bring them to Brook Park. Before we made our RFP application, we talked to stakeholders around the city to find out what neighborhood we should go to next. And overwhelmingly, they told us the Aerozone in Brook Park was the place where if we created last mile connections to jobs, we could help fill jobs as well as increase RTA ridership. So we recognize that the ridership in Solon is not where we want it to be, but we have lessons learned that we're going to take into Brook Park and the Aerozone. We're going to be going in with our partners. We're going to go higher into the organization to convince C-levels that it's strategically important for them to support transit and that they will improve their employee retention and hiring if they join the Connect Works in the Aerozone area. So thank you for the opportunity to continue serving you and your constituents. Anything from the Aerozone?
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, board members. My name is Rashid Mahalha. I'm the Executive Director of the Aerozone Alliance. The Aerozone Alliance represents about 50 square miles surrounding our Cleveland Hopkins International Airport. It includes assets such as NASA Glenn Research Center, the Ford plant, General Motors, and a variety of major anchor institutions in Northeast Ohio. We're a home to about 100,000 jobs. We have, thanks to the work that RTA does, we have access to the Red Line and a variety of public transit options. My colleague, Mary Jo Schmidt, and I are the entire team of the Alliance. One of the efforts that Mary works on is to go out and speak to our local businesses. So this year alone, Mary, through her leadership, has connected with about 61 different businesses. The number one issue we hear, no surprise to anyone, is around access to talent. And given the number of businesses, the number of jobs we have, one of the key barriers that our employers are finding is the ability not just to find talent, but to get the talent to the front door. And just to give you one example, Mary spoke to a business that is located within walking distance of the Red Line. Unfortunately, in order for people to take the public transit to this job, they have to first get off the Red Line and then walk across multi-lane 237, Brook Park Road, et cetera. And it's a safety issue, and it's also an issue of convenience and quality of life. That's a major barrier for our businesses. So we sincerely appreciate Share Mobility. We appreciate the board, the RTA staff, and various team members at RTA who've been so helpful in conceiving of this idea. We believe that through this solution, we can elevate the quality of life and experience for our workers and certainly become a propellant for further economic growth at the Aerozone District. We appreciate your support. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right. Any questions? Any questions? All right.
I have.
Go ahead. I'll wait.
So thanks for coming. My question is so if we're going to look at this as a data point, what do we think in 6 months, how many people will be using the shared mobility? And then a year from now, it'll be at the end of June, when the end of the contract will be, how many people, what is your success line?
So by the end of the year, I hope that in the Arizona Brook Park area, we have hundreds of people using it on a daily basis. And I've set a goal with the Arizona that we get to 10,000 employees subscribed by the end of the program.
That you're saying 10,000 rides?
10,000 employees subscribed.
I don't know what that means.
So we want to get a number of employers that collectively would have 10,000 employees.
Right. I guess what I'm just asking is how many either how many rides or how many people per day. When you say hundreds, that could be 200 or it could be 900. So I guess I just want it for the record. What's our measure of success?
I would prefer not to give out a number as a target, but come back to the board with a target if that's okay.
Yes. Okay. Thanks.
Just to let you know, I've been the staff person working with Cher on both projects. This one, I'm very hopeful we'll see a lot of success. I've had a lot of relationships with the Aerozone. We're working on people, the concessionaires, we're working on city employees, the airport employees, as well as all of the other businesses. They have people like Voss, NASA, a lot of big businesses, and I'm really hopeful that this is a little different, and we've got a lot of ways and areas. The CMSD is working with NASA right now. So there's a lot of different angles we're working to help get this pilot off and successful.
All right.
Yes. So first, thank you for being here today. I think this is really a testament to, I know I'm not supposed to say pilot, program, to be able to really take a step outside of our comfort zone and think about ways to get ridership. Piggybacking on our board member Moss's comment, I would like to challenge you all as a group, along with our side of the business as well, to come up with, and we will report back to the board at the mid-year point or mid-contract point, which we think is about 6 months, to be able to have a review of how we've been doing. Ryan and I have talked about this ad nauseum over the last couple of weeks, specifically to think about how to present that information. What I'm thinking we may want to do is look at and research what a subscription or a kind of signing on to the project really means as far as ridership calculation, and maybe thinking about the dependency of the rider, right? So if we're looking at, for example, a shift worker from Raptite or some other, Aerozone signer later on, in addition to the Solon work that's going on at Raptite, maybe we think about that person's circumstance for mobility. And if they are a car-less family, then their dependence on our program will probably rise a little bit. So if we take a calculated guess as to they would probably have a 5-day-a-week ride both ways and give an average. So if we find out what the consumer base is by industry, especially in the Aerozone, if you've got hundreds of potential subscribers, right, and be able to have an average and come back to the board with what we think might be an achievable goal by every 6-month increment, that might be a good indicator of success for us, and then we can guesstimate how many rides we'd be able to get. My thinking in doing this in other areas before is having to have almost in thirds. You think of a diehard, I'm hopping on this every day, a person who may have a car access a couple days a week, and a person who we really have to kind of reel in a little bit. And if we can take that and be able to project a little bit of a ridership analysis, I think that would be satisfactory to our team for the interim period.
All right.
Thanks.
Anything else? Anything else? Thank you very much. Certainly on behalf of the board, we appreciate you coming down today. Thank you. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? Thank you very much. We had a motion. All right. Number F, 2023-52.
Authorizing contract number 2023-048 with Richard L. Bowen and Associates Incorporated for Project 24X AE Services for East 79th Street Light Rail Station reconstruction in an amount not to exceed $859,825.01. RTA Development Fund, Engineering and Project Development Department budget.
All right. Have a motion, please.
Moved, Mayor Weiss.
Second? Second?
Second, Sleesman.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? Hope Reverend Pinckney is listening. All those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, no. Thank you very much. 2023-53.
Authorizing contract number 2023-61 with Hatzel and Bueller Incorporated for Project 12F, addition of 515 turnout at the west end of Brook Park Yard in an amount not to exceed $2,715,000. RTA Development Fund, Engineering and Project Development Department budget.
May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second, Welch.
Any discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you very much. 2023-54.
Authorizing contract number 2023-65 with EDM Technology Incorporated for purchase of magnetic fair media as required for a period of 3 years with 2 additional 1-year options in an amount not to exceed $650,865 for the base term and in an amount not to exceed $226,573.50 for each option year for a total contract amount not to exceed $1,104,012. General Fund, Revenue Department budget.
May we have a motion, please?
Motion, Welch.
Second?
I'll second.
Thank you very much. Before we vote, I say this every time for the people who are here and also listening. It looks like we're just sailing through these. Each one of these have been vetted with the staff people, and the board has had time to meet them in committee assignments and so forth. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you very much. 2023-55.
Authorizing contract number 2023-067 with Safety Clean Systems Incorporated for the furnishing of antifreeze as specified and as required for a period of 1 year in an amount not to exceed $120,128.50. General Fund, Fleet Management Department budget.
May I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Second?
Second, Sleesman.
Second, all right. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you very much. 2023-56.
Authorizing contract number 2023-080 with ECS Midwest LLC for Project 19.78 on-call testing and reporting 2023 in an amount not to exceed $200,000 for a period of 24 months. RTA Capital and or Development Fund, Engineering and Project Development Department budget.
May we have a motion?
Motion, Mersman.
Second?
Second, Welch.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. Thank you very much. 2023-57.
Adopting the tax budget of the Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2024, and submitting the same to the Cuyahoga County Fiscal Officer.
The motion, please.
Motion, Welch.
Second?
Second, Mayor Weiss.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you. 2023-58.
Removing Section 644.14, Professional Society Membership from the Codified Rules and Regulations of the Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority as a duplicate of Personnel Policy 400.14 and amending Personnel Policy 400.14.
Is there a motion?
So moved, Mayor Weiss.
Second?
Second, Mersman.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you. 2023-59.
Removing Section 644.11 from the Codified Rules and Regulations of the Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority as a duplicate of Personnel Policy 400.11.
Is there a motion, please?
So moved, Mayor Weiss.
Second?
Second, Mayor Biassiata.
Thank you. Any discussion?
For the record, did we say what this related to? Just so that so the public knows what.
General Miller.
as far as the code detail so that we can explain it to the public. Is that correct?
So that we're voting on.
Yeah.
what
Okay.
the policy is.
Got it. We can, Janet, if you wanted to expound on a few sentences of this particular item for the code book. Sure. So the answer is
Right? It's about
yeah.
leave. I'm sorry? It's about leave.
yes. So this one is, and I'll start in. So this one is the code update that we normally have. And Janet, correct me if I'm wrong. We're talking about L, and this is removing section 644.14 as a duplicate. That's also listed in the personnel policy 400.14, and it's regarding society membership. We also have an additional one for personnel policy in letter M. And you'll also see, just for the record, letter N as we get there for vehicle assignment. These are the updates to the code book that are provided by Don Tarka, legal counsel for the RTA. And this is a cleanup of the code book that we go through on a monthly basis for the public's advisement. Janet, did I get anything wrong? No problem. Janet's been on vacation, so I'm pinch hitting for legal, but I always want to make sure that I don't do anything wrong.
I apologize.
Okay. Thanks, Janet. Ms. Moss, is that satisfactory?
Yes.
Thank you.
I had read this before, but
Yes.
I just wanted to, we were voting on this, and I don't think we were hitting upon
Yeah.
the record what we're changing.
We're on the same page. No problem.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you. 2023-60.
Amending sections 1014.01 transit amenities and 1014.02 vehicle assignment of the codified rules and regulations of the Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority.
Motion, please.
Motion, Sleesman.
Second. Second.
Second.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you. 2023-61.
Authorizing the General Manager, Chief Executive Officer to enter into an agreement with Medina County to exchange operating funds for Medina County's capital grant funds and to provide for Medina County to fund a portion of the cost of GCRTA's 251 flyer route.
Good motion.
Motion.
Second.
Second, Welch.
Any discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
No opposed? All right, 2023-62.
Authorizing the General Manager, Chief Executive Officer to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the Cleveland Metropolitan School District for student fares for the 2023-2024 school year.
All right, we have a motion.
Motion, Welch.
Second.
Second, Mayor Weiss.
All right, I want to make a statement. We heard the backup to this, and it was a very good job. Congratulations to staff to put this together. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you very much. It's now time to hear our favorite reports. First, coming from our very wise and prudent Chief Executive Officer of the Treasury.
I'll take a few seconds to stop blushing. President Lucas, members of the board, my name is Raj Gautam. I'm the Deputy General Manager of Finance and the Board Secretary Treasurer. Here to present the monthly report, which largely summarizes data that is included in your monthly packages. We begin with a review of the overall conditions that impact our business. As we're all familiar, this slide presents inflation rate and interest rate by month. Going back to, as we can see, the annual inflation rate in the U.S. hit its high point of 9.1% in June 2020. It has been steadily decreasing, obviously, as a result of the FOMC efforts. Since June 2022, the inflation rate has been falling. At the end of June 23, inflation is down to 3%. It is expected to continue to fall in 2023. As it happens, the FOMC is meeting today and tomorrow, so we do expect some additional action sometime later tomorrow. and we'll apprise the board when that becomes apparent. The U.S. unemployment rate was 3.7% in May, and these are May numbers. We're expecting the June Metropolitan Statistical Area unemployment data to be released on August 2nd. All reported MSAs experienced an increase in the rates from April 2023. As of May 2023, Cleveland at 3.8% was up from 3.4%. Cincinnati 3.1%, up from 2.8%. Columbus 3%, up from 2.8%. Dayton 3.4%, up from 3.2%, and Toledo 3.8%, up from 3.5%. Slide shows the pre-COVID ridership through the year-to-date 2023 numbers. June 2023 ridership was up at about 11.3% when compared to June 2022 levels. On a year-to-date basis, 2023 ridership is up by about 19.5%. The data presented on the right hand of the slide that shows the year-to-date ridership, if you were to compare 2019, the pre-pandemic ridership of 15.78 million to the 10.47, that shows that the ridership is down about 33.6%. Passenger fares for June were 43.9% above June 2022 levels. And I've often talked about it, that this is a result of timing issues. We had received some large collections from UPass related income. About 596,000 of revenue had come in this month, so just kind of throws out the percentages. On an overall basis, year-to-date basis, the UPass revenue is about 1.3% when compared to 2022 levels. On the right hand of the slide, the year-to-date passenger fares in millions, comparing the 2019 pre-COVID passenger fares of 18.56 million to the 13.63 million, shows a 26.5% decline from the pre-COVID levels, obviously. July 2023 receipts, which is once again based on the economic activity for April 2023, it was 9% lower than when compared to June 2022. This is the last time the sales tax had declined for 2 consecutive months was February and March in 2021, so we're continuing to keep an eye on this. The largest factor, of course, has been the higher interest rates, essentially to cool off the economy and the inflation. Motor vehicles and watercraft were 5.3% lower when you compare July 23 to July 2022 levels. Online sales were 1.1% higher, and regular and statewide sales were 0.4% higher. With that, I'd be happy to take any questions if anyone has any.
Questions to the Secretary? Questions? If not, as usual, your report was in great shape. We thank you very much.
I appreciate
Continue the
that.
work of your good department.
Thank you.
Now time to hear from our 5-year new contract lady, our general manager.
Thank you again to the board and to the public. I feel like I've been drafted by the NFL. This is great. It must be what it feels like on a small scale. Just wanted to be able to give you a bird's eye view of some of the work that we've been doing over the past 30 days. We've had, as a disclaimer, we've had a lot of activity on the tail ends in the beginning of the month lately. In the summer, it seems that all special events are jam-packed into a couple of weeks or days even. So you may see a little bit of overlap here in some of the report outs for some of the activities. Some of these are for the very end of June, and you'll see the same thing for July in the August report. Wanted to be able to give you a heads up that we
were selected. So on the tails of Reverend Lucas making Raj blush, we'll continue in that vein. The Finance Department was selected by the GFOA, which is indicated at the top here, the Government Finance Officers Association. Very distinguished budget process and award that's given to very few entities for the criteria that's listed below. So in order to receive the budget award, you have to have hit those kind of main bullet points for a good policy document, financial planning, operational guidance, and then communications for effective budgeting. And this was based on the budget document that was produced at the top of the year for GCRTA in January.
I think that deserves a big cheer,
Yes,
don't you?
absolutely.
From everybody, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. All right.
Thank you. And we want to give a shout out as well to Kay Satula. She's not in the room today, but Kay is our director of budget. I know she's been off and on vacation a little bit this month, well deserved. She has been leading the charge along with John Taher, who is also leading that budgetary division to make sure that we stay in the black for everything and that we are also leading the charge when it comes to awards. We've racked them up this year, so continue the good work, Raj. All right. Also wanted to say that we are also hitting top-notch marks when it comes to the federal government. So the FTA, the Federal Transit Administration, actually selected our agency to come and take a look at our BRT. And that is the Bus Rapid Transit. Of course, you all are well aware of that. RTA kind of spearheaded that about 15, 20 years ago and continues to lead the charge in that arena. Our engineering division led by Mike Shipper, as well as our planning, Mary Beth, and engineering and operational groups really were able to kind of take a tour physically and literally for the FTA through the BRTs that we have here in Cleveland. So you'll see a group of us there that met with those engineering minds through the FTA. Their names and titles are listed so you get a sense of the importance of this technical tour as they talk through things like NEPA, which is a very arduous process to talk about kind of what's underneath the surface, and then also how to get to a successful BRT. The FTA is looking at the expansion of multiple BRT projects within the nation, and Cleveland is at the top of the list for almost a case study how-to guide on that process. So we really appreciate them for doing that, coming out to look at us, and kudos to the group for giving a great tour. I believe we had a wonderful time. Mike, do you have any additional information on that or any update?
I think it's going to help us, by having FTA's headquarters people here, which is kind of unusual. Mm-hmm. The West 25th Street project, as we move through the small starts process, now they've seen it, so they know what the project is, and it really will help us when we are ready for that small starts grant application, hopefully the future award. FTA, we did get awarded a transportation-oriented development grant for the Broadway corridor. So as that project kicks off, they also have an idea of what that corridor looks like. And even for the board members, if you look at Broadway today and you look at what West 25th was maybe 5 years ago, a lot of differences now, but a lot of similarities from that time period. And they really appreciated that, so they could see just even the work we did on the TOD study on West 25th, some of the fruits of that. So it was great to have them here, and hopefully in a couple years, as we're looking for some competitive grants, that will help us.
Thanks, Mike. I think that makes a lot of sense, and also just being able to let the board have an idea of how important this is to lay the foundation for future asks. It's always nice to be able to see what we've been doing here, and to your point, for future asks that come up for projects in the future. The FTA has Cleveland on the top of their list, which is always a good indication that we'll be successful as we continue to move along in the economic development arena. All right. We also have Transit Voices. I always like to be able to kind of give you a heads up on any media that is pretty significant that's coming out from RTA and out of the Cleveland region as it relates to transit. On August 10th, in July, which will be posted for August 10th, I was able to have a conversation with Ben Whitaker, who is a journalist through Transit Voices. He is out of Britain by happenstance. They're global. And he is representing their UK office, which was great because we started to talk about rail replacement, easy fare technology and fare payment, also DEI and how it's affecting the transit industry. And it really was nice to be able to have this kind of back and forth volley between how it's happening in the United States, particularly in Cleveland for the Midwest, and then how they're operating in areas like London and Paris and more of our European brothers and sisters in transportation. So it was great to be able to have that conversation. I believe it will be posted on the August 10th. Bob, our PIO, will send that information out as soon as it's available through podcast, and then you'll, of course, be able to listen in and hear about the difference of opinion in transportation on a national and global scale, which is where we're trying to be. So that was a great opportunity there. Appreciate Transit Voices for that. And also, in the same vein, I had an opportunity to represent at Golden Hour. For those of you that have been to Golden Hour before, Ms. Welch, I'm sure you're nodding your head as our media guru that you've probably been very involved in that. It is and correct me if I'm wrong, this was my first one here in Cleveland. It's a festival, so to speak, but it had a transit spin in the beginning. It was at the Shoreway at North Coast Harbor, which is a beautiful setting outside. We got to talk about entrepreneurial programs, which really segued into the mobility conversation, like our partners through Share Mobility that just came up. You saw Ryan, as well as Sway Mobility, which are our partners in thinking outside of the box. We were able to talk about and really advertise for the mobility program and Connect Works, and we got a lot of good feedback. Our marketing department was there as well to take questions. Commuter Advantage, Joe Clark was there. He got a lot of folks that kind of ran up to him and said, hey, how can I sign on? So it was a great opportunity to just go ahead and advertise RTA in a lot of different ways. And then they had, of course, music and arts throughout the evening. So appreciated that plug for RTA as well in a different sort of avenue. Also wanted to be able to talk about DEI. So DEI has had probably rocket ship to the top as far as the conversations on a national scale over the last few weeks. I wanted to make sure that I reiterate to the board that RTA stands committed to DEI. RTA stands committed to that process and making sure that equity and inclusion are part of the mainstays of our mission. We have not wavered on that. It actually started to come into the political light a day before our meeting here. We already had a pre-planned DEI stakeholders workshop. This was actually held at the Cleveland Library, and we really had a great, robust conversation about how this DEI journey is going to focus on workplace, work culture, customer, and community. And we are in the middle of drafting our DEI strategic plan for GCRTA. So with any luck, and Natoya, keep me honest, we should be able to provide an update on that and a draft, if not finalized, presentation to the board by year's end. And we are working with outside consultant AJ Conway to be able to facilitate that. And it is a complete, thorough strategic plan for DEI and how that will be embedded in our culture here at RTA. We did have union leadership in the room as well, which is fantastic because it impacts not only our non-bargaining, but our bargaining members as well. So it was really good to be able to talk about those areas of identification and inclusion as we work through, especially our ERGs, our employee resource groups, and how those groups are actually finding their voice in RTA and in transit. So I appreciate that and look forward to more information coming out of the DEI group. To round up my presentation, I believe we'll be giving you an update on the Conference of Minority Transportation Officials, long name, COMTO. This, again, is kind of dovetails into that DEI conversation. This is a national organization. We have a local chapter here in Northeast Ohio. We are working to push that back out and get a lot of membership. We had our presence of our board president, Reverend Lucas, as well as myself and members from our DBE and operational team. as well as finance. Those individuals, Carl Kirkland, Davita Banks, Nikki Ponder, and Jared Davis, make up the crux of our leadership for our local team that is in draft form to make sure that we can continue pushing the needle here in Cleveland in preparation for the upcoming year. The conference really focused on DEI initiatives, but also talked about procurement and contracts, technology, and then grant opportunities. The federal government was not able to make it due to the ongoing strike that was happening with hotel workers in LA, and therefore could not cross picket lines. However, we were graced with the presence of national leaders throughout the country to be able to talk through these items. It was held in LA, California, for a few days, and Reverend Lucas was able to attend. Reverend, I don't know if you had any comments that you'd like to share with the board as your first Compto conference as our president.
I was going to let Carl do that.
Carl, you're up to be able to give a quick 30-second or less debrief on the conference.
Well, the conference was excellent, actually. You know, when you started speaking about and meeting individuals nationwide on diversity, equity, inclusion, and contracting base, but it was very nice to see Reverend Lucas present, engaging with other small business owners. So I'm going to keep it brief, as our CEO has expressed, but it was a very delightful, it was very inciting time to experience something that the authority is moving ahead on. So thank you very much for allowing me to attend.
Thanks, Carl. We appreciate your leadership, and of course, Reverend Lucas. With that, that takes us to public comment. Unless there are any questions from the board, I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions from the board? All right, thank you very much, General Manager. All right, we have heard my report. Any old business? Any new business? We now have public comment. Anybody here have any public comments?
Good morning. Hello there, board member.
We missed you.
How you doing? So my name is Rico Dancy. I am the president of Black Lives Matter for the Deaf. I am a certified interpreter for people who are deaf. So I sit on the board of RMATA. We write ADA policies and planning for people who are deaf, people with all various of disabilities. Every officer had an app. It called VRI, stand for Video Remote Interpreter. Example, if it's an emergency, if they cannot find an interpreter, what are we doing? How we communicate for people like that? Because we put in, it's a company called Purple Communication, another company called Sorensen. Them are the two highest company for deaf and hard of hearing in the country. So a deaf guy got murdered in Baltimore City Jail because of access. We want to know what is RTH doing for access for the law enforcement who are deaf. DC do it, have the app. Ramala should do it too. Both of them do it. Because under my leadership, I brought the app to, I'm on the ANC committee, it's switched to the directors. Director vote on it, and they have someone from DC police come and train them how to use the app. They will have their own phone number.
15 seconds, sir.
Okay, and have their own phone and own password, how to communicate with citizens who are deaf. Thank you.
10 seconds, sir.
You have a response.
If I may, through the...
Are you back in Cleveland?
I asked him that question.
All right.
If I may, through the chair, Mr. Dancy, so we do have our newish, I'll call her that, new to you perhaps, our chief in the back here, Deirdre Jones, and she has indicated that she'll make time for you as well before you leave our wonderful city, which I guess you have left. But we'll make sure to talk through that with you and think about how we can entertain that type of app.
All right, we're gonna work that out with you. Chief's gonna talk to you. Anyone? Anybody else?
Thank you to the board members. My name is Carlotta Santori, and I had a few complaints and suggestions for you. The first one is some of the drivers are not letting the ramp down for people that are on walkers or have grocery carts. And I feel like we shouldn't have to ask them to let it down. They can see that we have it. The other one is that the buses and the trains are too cold. Wondering if they could kind of do something with the temperature on those. Also, there are the elevators. I'm on RTA every day, and then on weekends I'm using the paratransit. The elevators at the stations, train stations, people are urinating in those elevators. What's being done about that to be able to stop that? One suggestion, I don't know if you would do it, is maybe put porta potties at those stations or restrooms. The other thing is on some of the buses, there's something that looks like a mesh covering on the windows. And at night, it's very hard to see. I have a vision problem. I need eye surgery. And it's hard to see where I'm going with that mesh on those windows. Also, we can't see the stops at night. And sometimes the drivers don't call the stops. And that's also on the trains, I've noticed that sometimes they don't call the stops. So those are some of my suggestions. And also, the steps on the buses are a little steep. And for the elderly and those that are disabled, it's hard to get up, and especially if they don't let the steps down or the ramps down. And I would suggest that when you do new buses, to have the steps lowered. The other thing is I'd like to thank you all for taking out the cloth seats of the buses because they were nasty. And I thank you for putting in those vinyl seats that are on the buses. And is there something you all can do about passengers putting their dirty feet on the seats? Because that's happening a lot also. I think, and smoking in the bus shelters. People are smoking. I have allergies really bad, and I have a heart condition. And I shouldn't have to leave the bus shelter when it's wintertime or when the weather is inclement because someone's smoking in shelters. I think they need to have the RTA police drive around a little more and check these things out. And I thank you so much for listening to me. Have a blessed day.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody else?
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Well, first, let me have the congratulations to our Miss Bersan Terry. And you are the one leading GCRTA into a new era, changing the culture, improving the service. We have seen it all. So we wish you can really have a good time to enjoy working here. Secondly, I also want to welcome Rico Dancy coming back. This is something I have mentioned that before. Our service right now, actually, even we try to include people with disabilities, but the deaf communities are still being left out. This also ties to some other issues like the website and some other things even this lady mentioned. Those things she mentioned is really a problem for everybody. then it's even harder for the people deaf or with a vision impaired, that kind of conditions, to comprehend certain things, to communicate, which is true. And also, I think not only the transit police, also our regular staff should probably have some training about these things. The third thing is about the microtransit. I do remember last time we heard the Solon program is not as successful because lots of people, they found out their employees can remotely do the remote work, telecommunicating. So I found out the issue here is, it seems like the potential clients you have reached is actually the type of
15 seconds,
employees
ma'am.
having only certain type of jobs. For me, I know that right now the homeless population or the very low income population, they still have to give up the jobs to go to Solon, just for example, because the work they do, their employees probably either not get outreach or they cannot afford. So this is an issue. Yes, we want a ridership,
ma'am.
but more importantly is our whole region's economy. If everybody can make a good living, otherwise we will keep losing population, then of course GCRTA will lose ridership. So I wish we can have our team to do some work on that to see if the type of people we reach out are not really covered completely for the workforce situation we are talking about. Thank you.
All right, anybody else? Anybody else here? Anybody else here? All right, we'll go to the telephone.
We have two callers. Caller extension 0387, please go ahead.
This is Eric Stewart, and this is to the attention of legal counsel, the Board of Trustees, and India Perry. You have just price gouged the public. I heard legal counsel say that this is a national job. It is not a national job. But if you're going to compare it to a national job, the Department of Transportation head in Washington, D.C., Buttigieg, makes $250,000 a year. It's a much less than $250,000 a year. It's a much more intellectually labor-intensive job. The tax base that contributes to that job is stronger, and the resume of that person before and currently as an active member of the president's cabinet is much stronger. But you pay this woman more than him, claiming that it's comparable to a national job. You also compared it to the head of transit authority over in Franklin County, where the cost of living is higher and the tax base is much more stronger contributing to that job. Reminder, this is a taxpayer-funded job, and the cost of living in Cleveland is much lower, but you yet want to raise this person's salary, price gouging the public. She is not an NFL draft pick, so she shouldn't feel like one. She is an employee that's being funded by the tax base of Cuyahoga County, and with that in mind, the public should have been involved in the decision-making of this person even being considered to get a raise. But you still have not re-implemented the Community Advisory Committee where it could have been studied and given a really good, educated understanding and decision-making advisory
seconds,
on whether she should have got the money in the first place. You price gougers, you should be ashamed of yourselves. So I repeat, put back in the 15A, the 48A, and readjust the 50 and the 48 so that you could do something that shows that you actually are working in the best interest of the public and not your own personal raising income.
All right, and next?
Thank you for your comment.
Next caller.
Next caller, extension 9195, please go ahead.
Good morning. Today I have spoke with Ms. Bird. I did speak with Reverend Lucas, and I was supposed to receive a return phone call from Reverend Lucas. That was in January of this year. I have called the office and left a follow-up message, and I have not received a phone call.
Ma'am, would you state your name?
My name is Pluria, Pluria, and the last name is Gardner. I beg your pardon, sir? Gardner.
Was that the call that was referred to the legal department?
If I can advise, so Ms. Gardner, we'll continue to reach back out to you if my memory serves, and we'll check our records. That information in your case involved transit police, I believe. That was perhaps a year ago. That was referred to our OEO department. They gave next steps with the advisement of legal for representation that would be outside of GCRTA. It's gone through our internal process, and the case is closed. Thank you.
All right.
I never no.
We'll go back through our records, and Teresa, we'll forward you the information to re-forward to Ms. Gardner that was sent out last year. Thank you.
All right.
Can I make a follow-up statement?
Surely. Go ahead.
At this point, Archie, this is a denial of a right of complaint. This was not investigated properly, and nothing has been done. And this is characteristic of RTA, the disrespect you all have for the public and the shoddy way you are running this organization. And I am not putting up with it. I'm not. The Board of Trustees, you are going to find out what's going on. The public is going to find out what's going on. You're not going to sweep this under the rug. It's not going to happen.
All right, anything else? All right, any other people on the line?
That was our last caller.
All right. Thank you very much. We thank those who have called in and thank those that are here in person. Next regular board meeting scheduled for Tuesday, August the 29th in this very room. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
The second.
Second, Welch.
It is not debatable. All those in favor, aye?
Aye. Aye.
Thank you very much, board. Thank you very much, staff. Thank you, Ralph. Thank you, everybody that's here. I'll be with you till we meet again.